Hi everyone, my name is Declan McGlynn. Welcome to another installment of our new series looking at some under-the-radar kit that you'll be able to find on eBay for hopefully a pretty affordable rate. We're joined, of course, by Sam Willis from R&S Static Recordings. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very well. We've been looking through all this kit, and this time we're going to focus on the RZ-1,
Yes.
Casio. I believe its full title is a Digital Sampling Rhythm Composer RZ-1 from Casio.
That's right.
Yes, and I hear it's a bit of like a Puraman's SP1200.
Yeah, it's a 12-bit sampling drum machine back in the era when sampling was still very expensive and very limited, so it's got 0.8 seconds of sampling time over four separate slots, and the main feature are the 16 PCM internal samples, which are spread out across these pads, and then you have a whole mixing desk, a whole set of faders to adjust the levels. Some of them are doubling up, but you can mix down on the fly as you go along.
It's pretty straightforward bit of kit. I mean, you can't change the samples, can you?
No, you are able to change the filter of the samples that you put in the machine, but the stock samples remain the same. Although you can actually change the EEPROM chips which are inside for substitute sounds. So if people are technically inclined, you can put 808 and 909 samples into this machine. But that requires a bit of research and a bit of technical know-how, which I personally don't have. Yeah, some soldering. Yeah. And you can also do quite extensive circuit bending to really kind of mess with the sounds, kind of freak them out, all kinds of like weird alien sort of tones.
Yeah. Cool. Shall we hear it?
Yeah. So let's start off recording a pattern. So first thing you hear is a metronome, which during the record mode, you're not actually able to switch that off, so you can put in a basic pattern like this. Make sure everything's turned up. So famous closed and open hats. So we sampled some stuff in before, which we've got on these here. Straight away you can hear one of the things that's most special about this machine is the sense of groove. Yeah, like it has an amazing kind of rhythm to it, which doesn't come from a quantize. This is straight 16th auto compensate as they describe it. So it's moving all my button presses onto the 16th note grid, and it just has a very sort of musical swing to it, inbuilt within the machine, which is unique to the chip within this, because this comes from an era when the sort of discrete circuitry and components that went into all these different sequences, whether it be the SP1200, the RZ-1, or the Lindrum, they all had their own mathematics of how they calculated grooves. So whilst Ableton, Logic, all the modern DAWs are able to sort of, to a certain extent, approximate some of the feel of these machines, the minor inconsistencies and quirks of the machines give it its own humanized sort of character, even to the point where they're not mathematically perfect, but we just know they sound good. You don't have to be technical to understand that the rhythm really just works. Most famously, there's a track by Steve Poindexter, Work That Mother Crusher. Don't want to swear on the pod. But it's, you can just immediately recognise from those sounds that that sort of very reminiscent of Chicago sort of house sounds. And Todd Terry, also godfather of house, was a very sort of strong proponent of this alongside the SP1200. And I think if you listen to his stuff, listen to this, listen to those records, you can really hear the character of the machine and the part that played within those artists' sort of signature sound, which
for sure.
is something that you can actually have a part of. You know, with a machine like this, you'd be part of that lineage.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about choke and like how it's a bit of a lost art. I mean, this automatically happens between the hi-hats, but it's something that's maybe not that straightforward and not that immediate in DAWs. You have to look at, you have to know what you're doing to do it.
Exactly. The people
helps so much with groove.
Absolutely. The people who are making these machines were thinking as drummers rather than as programmers. And so I think you have the facility to accent and to, as you say, it's an inbuilt expectation that the hi-hats would choke each other off. Again, polyphony, like the ability to have multiple voices playing at once, was also in its infancy at this stage. So part of the characteristics of a lot of these machines were due to the limited polyphony. So it meant that they had to save resources where they could, which resulted in some quite interesting cutting off of certain voices against each other, which actually leads to more space in the arrangement, because you can't have a lot of this overlapping, which ends up sucking away from the groove itself, because you don't have the tightness of the envelopes, because they're not being cut off by each other.
Yeah, and you can actually sample into this from anything, right?
Yeah, we actually sampled these examples in off of this iPhone. One of the amazing things about this machine is just how incredibly simple it is to sample. You just press the sampling button, put it into play mode, press sampling, hold down sample number 1. It's waiting for my signal, so if I just call up my IMPC app, which I've got on here, there, the sample's in. There we go.
It's already quite crunchy.
It's already quite crunchy.
12-bitty.
Exactly, and you've got the gain staging on here between in this case the phone and the sampling level, where you can push stuff a bit further in order to really kind of crunch it up. And then on the back of the unit you have a little dial which allows you to
quite a very simple filter.
A very simple filter
to
reduce some of the sort of the aliasing and the sort of the high end, because if you listen comparatively to the other high end stuff, the other stuff's relatively dull because this is distorted and crunched up, so you can get a bit closer across the board.
Yeah, I like that one. And it goes for, I guess we were looking on eBay earlier, it goes for about 180, 160, 180?
Yeah, it does. It's definitely rising in value because
of this video.
Yeah, because of this video, but because the likes of the SB1200 have really
legendary status
and have rised exponentially in the past years, since people like Kanye West started to talk about using them, had a real resurgence of interest, and as a result, I think there's been a trickle-down effect where anything with 12-bit on it has become quite sought after. But the thing we should say as well about this is that not only is it sort of the grooves sound great, but it's actually also a very intuitive live performance sort of piece as well, because you can really, the tightness of the MIDI clock means that you can sort of start and stop on a dime, as it were, and really treat it as an instrument, as opposed to, you have so much facility within, say, like an APC MIDI controller, but with something like this, because it's an all-in-one unit, which all it's doing is this one purpose. It's not having to be a sort of secondary USB-based appendage of a laptop that also is running all these other processes. So it lives to groove, shall we say, and you can really
can you
feel that.
Sequence MIDI notes from it as well? Can you use a sequencer to trigger other things?
Yes, you can. So each of these pads also has a corresponding MIDI note, which you can retroactively assign within your sampler. So let's say you had like an Akai S950 rack sampler. You can create a key group which will receive, perhaps in this case, these 4 sample. If you wanted to use all of these drum samples, you could also map it to the extra buttons here, and then include those within the composition as well. So you can maybe get like a 12-bit sampler to complement 16-bit to complement the 12-bit sound of this. Also, you might want something that has a little bit of a longer sample time, so you could have some pad sounds which you would never get with this, because it's just so limited in terms of what the length of sounds that it can hold.
Yeah, nice one. So there you go, that's the Casio full-tile digital sampling rhythm composer RZ-1. You can pick one of those up for about 180 quid. Go and check it out, they're awesome for those crunchy sounds. We'll be back soon with another piece of kit for you guys to check out. We'll see you then.